One thing that loves to confuse people is how to prime these Eheim filters. Now the first thing I do is make sure it's completely empty. Make sure the O-ring on the head is well and truly in place. Make sure that all the taps are open. Then it's just a matter of putting the inlet into the water. Then you get the outlet, and I give one quick suck on the outlet. Then you can see the water filling up, and it's filling up the canister. And if you actually put the tap on this way, the male thread is facing that way, so you can also suck on that if it's more convenient and just tie it on. Then I tend to just put the outlet down into a bucket. Once the water's coming out of the bucket, I'll then pop my finger on that or close the tap. Then I'll put that up into the aquarium itself. Then once I've put that in the aquarium, I'll then plug in the power. And presto, she works every time. So the key is make sure the inlet line is full of water that goes down to the bottom of the unit, and make sure the canister's full of water, and you'll hear a sound, and that's when the air bubbles are coming out. So if you just rock it gently, then the impeller will remove any air bubbles out of the top of the head, and bingo, your canister works. Now in general, I hate primers on your canister filters because most of them are crap, they just don't seem to work. But let's give this one a go. So this is your Aqua 1. So basically we've got an inlet and an outlet in here. We've got to make sure the inlet's under the water. Then we've got to make sure that both these taps are open and these are on. Now I should just get the pump on this. And when you pump on it, you can see the air coming out. And then after you've pumped it for a little while, you then hear it filling up with water. And then once the siphon has started, it's now filling up with water. And then once this is stopped and it's completely full of water, you can then turn it on. So that was very effective and that was very simple. Over time the washers and stuff tend to go, so they can obviously be replaced, but that was a very simple process. Otherwise you've got to suck on the outlet. Go through the process of how I fill up these Aqua 1 canister filters. They do come with a priming plug. Maybe I'm old school, but I never tend to use it. The way that I set these up, first of all you want to take the canister apart, take all the filter media out of its plastic bags. You also can consider upgrading the filter media you're using. Where possible I'd rather add marine pure and poly filter, but it does come full of media as is. So you just take all them out, check on the impeller, make sure that's all in position. Then you go and put the canister underneath the stand or in the cabinet or wherever you need to be. Then you get your inlet line, which you just screw onto this that says in, and then that connects via the hose. But also trim the hose. You don't want any of this excess hose. I'm only doing a demonstration now, but trim the hose so the hose is not longer than it needs to be. So the water goes in through this strainer, and trim this pipe if it's too long as well. So the water, so your fish tank's full of water. Then you get your outlet line and you get a bucket. And this is your outlet. This is the outlet I like to use. I usually have it on the other end of the aquarium, but I don't really care if it's not. If it is both in the same end, that's okay. I'll just aim it so it goes down the aquarium or whatever. And when this shoots, I want it to agitate the surface of the water as much as possible. So what I'll actually do is I'll get a bucket, then I'll give one quick suck on that pipe, and that one quick suck will get the water to start siphoning down into the canister. I then pop this into the aquarium again, and you'll find bubbles coming out of this, which means that the canister's filling. Once the bubbles stop, that means the canister's full, and at which point I will then plug the filter in. I'll then leave the filter for about a month, and I like to clean these about once a month. If I find that after once a month, I'm cleaning them once a month and they're quite clean, then I might wait every 2 months or every 3 months, but preferably once a month, and I do govern how often I clean it by how clean it actually is. So then when I go to clean it, I'll unplug it, then I'll turn off these two taps and they cut the line. Then I'll just undo these two fittings, which means these pipes become dangling. I'll then take this canister and take it to a wet area. Once it's in a wet area, I will unclip these clips. I will then take the lid off. I'll clean the impeller. I'll clean all the filter material in tank water, not tap water. Then I will replace the poly filter or the filter wool. Then I will take it back and put it underneath the aquarium again. And it's really handy to have the filter sitting in a baking tray, because that way if you do spill a bit of water, it just gets collected in the baking tray. So once it's back down, I just open these two taps up again, and then the water that's already in these lines normally means that the canister refills. Once the canister's refull, then I can plug it back in and away I go. If it doesn't refill, then I will get a bucket, I will do a quick suck on that and start the siphon again just like I did the first time, and away you go. These canisters are extremely easy to use. Now, priming these Aquarel 700 or 500 filters are extremely easy. So assuming the filter is totally dry, the first thing you do is make sure that all of the inlets are in the water. So that means both inlets and both outlets are actually under the water, and for the purpose of this video I've just got them tucked in under a piece of marine pure. But as long as they're all totally under the water, the next thing you do is move this over to service like this, so that lines up with start. Move it to start. Then this little handle here, you pump on this a whole heap of times, and then you'll see bubbles start coming out of the outlets. Then once you've got a whole bunch of bubbles coming out, and that all seems to be working, you then switch this back to work, and then when you switch it back to work, you'll see more bubbles, and you'll see the water starting to siphon and fill up. So if that process didn't seem to work the first time, and your canister is not full of water, you can just do exactly the same thing. You switch it back to start again, pump on this for a little while. That builds up pressure in the line. Once again, this is assuming that all your inlets and outlets are under the water. So sometimes that means putting a little adaptions on it to make sure that they're all under the water. Then we go back, switch it to work, and then you'll see the siphon. So this is siphoning at the moment. Now we wait for this canister to be full. Once the canister is actually full, because it's siphoning away now, then we're right to switch it on. It is that easy. And that's all assuming the inlets and outlets are under the water. It will not work unless both inlets and both outlets stay under the water. So sometimes tanks like this that have got conglomerations of canister filters and so forth, which pick up and send from under the aquarium, can actually be very hard to prime. So the easiest way to prime it is just to have a power head on hand. Best if you just have a power head in the aquarium, just for a bit of water flow, and then you just get the power head, remove the strainer on the filter inlet, put the power head on it, and blow the water down, and that'll blow all the air out of the system. And then when all the air's out of the system, you can then turn the power back on, and that can save you heaps of effort trying to prime it when you get airlocks down the bottom.